Now, let's talk about things Aaron could probably bring up. Because one of the issues here is the issue of consent. And that's with both parts of the statutes talk about the lack of consent. When you talk about the consent issues, without the person's consent and without the person's consent down here, you're trying to say, and I get what the argument is here. Oh, well, hey, there's a picture of Kayla showing her ass. All right. Then there's the bottle pictures. And then the other pictures that are up on locals. Yeah, that's an argument to make. You have a bit of an issue. It's like 2 years ago. Because Hito was how far back? It was a while ago. And then Bottlegate. And not the one that started the war in the Balkans, but the Bottlegate pictures. How long were those from? It's not like she just took those last month or in the past 6 months. They're old. A person might change how they feel about things since then. I know there are people who are trying to show, oh, look, there was a comment on locals. Yeah, that was back then too. So it's like 2 years old. It's not really fresh anymore. It's not relevant. I mean, it's got some level of relevancy, but it's not good. It's not valid. It's not a certified fresh hood single. So what have you done recently? What do you have right now that's showing that there might be lack of consent? That's the big thing. That's where you're going to have the issues, I think, trying to bring that up. If I was a prosecutor, I'd object on relevancy issues. This is from 2 years ago. So even if he had it, I don't know what it does. Now, I don't know how this will... And something I thought about, because technically these are sexual images. Does this count as sexual sexual conduct? Because if it does, we might have like a rape shield issue. Because bringing up her prior acts of, you did all this stuff before. You were an exhibitionist before, but now you're not. That could possibly get triggered here. Although issues of consent are one of the 3 ways you could generally circumvent rape shield laws. I don't know if that would apply here. I don't know Minnesota's laws well enough to know would this consider it or fall into it. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but someone asked me about that, and I think it's something to think about. But ultimately, Aaron's got a big problem trying to drag those in because they're old. They're not new. Doesn't mean he can't, but that's not enough to hang your hat on. Burr says, but her prior acts of being in a 4-way relationship. Okay, but that's so what? They were in a 4-way picture sharing group. They can make an argument. We wanted to limit it to that group. And as she said in the complaint here, I even think she says that. Yeah, okay. The purpose of the app was to keep things private amongst each other and all agree nothing would be shared to others. Now, remember, that's Kayla just saying it. And, depending on who you want to believe as far as legal things are concerned, either these are all lies, this whole thing is a lie, or a more rational and nuanced and reasonable person would say, there might be something to talk about in here. Like, what are these things? And that's where it takes somebody who's got some experience at this saying, well, the purpose is to keep things private. And they all agreed. Okay. Were there any other leaks? Did it ever happen before? That might be something that's relevant. How did that happen? What was the reaction to it? Who did it? That would be important, because this whole thing here, the whole cover thing, that all started since the comedy show. So that would be relevant. That would work here. Now, there are some things that are helpful for Aaron, and one of them is it's not the ultimate end all be all. So this is something I think that may help.
Nope, I'm saying.
So this is Gino, and this is Gino talking.
I'm going to tell you right now. When she says when she said I'm taking up for him, I'm gonna tell you right now, they're all 4 fucking idiots. But
Aaron is the worst of them.
Aaron's not the worst of them. They're all the worst of them. But Aaron is further along the I fucked up timeline. Now, April, for some reason, thinks she's some. April, for some reason, thinks she's like, oh, well, you know, I'm a victim. You're stupid. And you should not be living with a guy.
Okay. This part is not help. This isn't the part Aaron can utilize.
And his wife and their 5 kids. Period. But before I put the period, I'm gonna erase the period and be like, with a guy and his wife and 5 kids after you swapped wives with them. Period. But now I'm gonna erase the period and be like, with a guy and his wife and their 5 kids after you swapped wives and did cocaine with them. Period. Now
Still, none of this is not helpful here.
I'm gonna erase a period and say, with a guy and his wife and their 5 kids after you got caught doing cocaine with them and had guns in the house. Period. Now, you understand? They're all, and anyone that doesn't go out of their way to stop the cops from calling me or Keanu and saying, hey, what's going on? You're a and if you think I'm worried about losing friends over this because you're a stupid Nick, Lady Rackets, and April, and you're bitter because what's his name? Aaron, who's a stupid, got out first. No one's better. No one's worse. And I'll tell you, no one deserves this less than me or Keanu. So cut it. But if
Now, why don't we bring this up? It's not a very cooperative witness, which we try to serve him with subpoena while he's out of state. Hey, Mr. Viscani, will you come in? Can we interview you to get ready? Will you testify at trial? I'm not showing up. That's kind of bad. It's kind of bad. It's more his comments, the context of his comments, not necessarily the comments themselves. This doesn't make Kayla's claims less likely or less probable or more probable. It just shows us a very hostile witness that is part of your foundation here. Second video of Keanu and Gino talking, I think also does stuff here. Now this one,
Aaron's all
A piece of shit.
right.
Yeah. A
But
real
April-
piece of shit.
April,
I'm not doing this. No.
why can't you just take our
She
side?
has kept her fucking mouth shut and whatever.
No.
Dragging us into this, that's not dragging us into this.
Yes, it is.
Kayla Rickade reported a crime.
No one cares about her.
Okay.
In our world.
Why? It's no skin off your nose. Listen,
Why
I
do I have
snitched.
lint in my
I
mouth?
snitched. I snitched.
No
I
one's.
did.
You did not.
I would love to be the snitch. I snitched.
But
I'm
you
the
did
first
not.
one that.
Why
I'm
are you?
so once again, this is just more of this one here is. It's not like a silver bullet for Aaron, but it's going to cause some issues because it does show things that the attorneys and the prosecutor might want to know about, like who's been talking and what have they been talking about.
In a year from now, watch this. Ready for this? Aaron's going to be back on his feet. Where's April going to be?
Wait.
No.
Okay.
Watch this. Write
I'm
it
not
down.
playing this game. No.
No. Watch this. A year from now, Aaron will be. If I know him, he's a mess. He'll be like, "Wow," and he'll play off it. He'll laugh at it because he needs to. April will still be like, "I don't know how that happened," because she's a dumb.
Who cares? Who cares?
I care because she literally had the cops call us.
No. Kayla Ricada.
So April had nothing to do with
reported
it.
a crime.
No. Well, who'd we get a text from on my phone?
Kayla Ricada does not have our number.
This is where it gets interesting.
No. Well, who'd we get a text from on my phone?
Kayla Ricada does not have our numbers. Anyway,
Who did I get a text from on my
I'm
phone?
done with this.
So who'd they get a text from? What was that text about? Are the witnesses in this situation contacting each other? What did they do? What did they arrange? What did they say? That might be something important. Would they use that? I don't know. Would I use that as his attorney? Sure. Hey, what are these people? What are they doing? Prosecutor, these are your witnesses, including Gino. Without Gino, they're going to have what exactly is the case here? I mean, they have Aaron's statements. They have Aaron doing something on screen, sure. But they still need Gino.